Girls have been banned from secondary school education. Ahmad Shah Mohibi is the president of Rise to Peace and also a former state and defence advisor in Afghanistan. He joins me now. Good to have you with us. So once again, the Taliban has restricted the education of women and girls. There can't be much left of any female equality in Afghanistan, can there?
Well, there is not so much the world could do to change the Taliban's mentality, their ideology, their perception. That's what makes Taliban. I think it's good for the world to see where the Taliban stands on human rights. They're continuously violating human rights, particularly women in Afghanistan. I call this a Afghan woman or being a collateral damage for the Taliban seek to legitimization, meaning that it has been 1 year the Taliban are looking for recognition from the world. And this is a bold move. And then they have used similar strategy back in 2018, 2019, 2021, early 20, I would say. And that's because of in the peace process. So the Taliban, anytime they asked for demands in the peace talks in Doha, and the demands were not being met or not taken seriously, they went on a surge of violence across Afghanistan. Well, look what happened. 2021, they reached that goal. Right now, they're going after the same goal. They're saying, well, we want recognition. Let's go harder on our people so the world come to a conclusion or some sort of compromise and recognize our government. This is not Islamic. This is not an Afghan culture. This is not history. And it goes against the teaching of Prophet Muhammad. It goes against the teaching of Quran. Education is allowed and permissible for young man, woman, girl. And what the Taliban are doing is basically they're representing themselves in the world. And this is really impacting the Afghan economy, the fragile country, shrinking economy, stability politically wise, the rise of ISIS and extremist groups in Afghanistan. And this is it's a really unfortunate for Afghans. And those girls for 3 months with hopes went to university, they took the entrance exam and they were excited to go to school. And we see this from the Taliban coming. You know, it was not expected, but, you know, you're Taliban. What else you could expect from this group?
Well, international aid and international cooperation is dependent on Afghan leaders respecting human rights. But so can pressure be put on the Taliban to reverse some of these decisions?
Yes. When you're dealing with an insurgency group, or now they call it political group, like the Taliban, you gotta negotiate and talk from their perspective, meaning Taliban are really masterminds of manipulation. They know how to deceive the world. They know how to bring their agenda to win, kind of like what they did in the Afghan peace process. Oh, we want peace. We are Afghans. We're tired of war. Look what happened. They came to Kabul. Now they're banning their own people. So people and the world needs to keep the Taliban accountable. That's number one, accountability, and uphold them to the commitments they made. So the aid, there is a really hard, and that's a tricky question. If you stop the aid, 18.5 million Afghans are in the phase of starvation. And at the same time, if you allow the aid, how you monitor, how you control, how you assess the whole the whole implementation of that. You know, diplomatically, United States, State Department, international community, United Nations, you could have serious talks with the Taliban that if you want to recognize the Taliban, this is time. You have to have, you know, put everything on the table. This is what international community wants. This is what Americans, we want here. And whatever you want, let's talk about, because Afghans are paying the price. You know, this needs to be a serious talk. And doing so, it's really, really important for the international community to bring the opposition for leaders and the resistance and other leaders that are in exile or in other countries residing to an inclusiveness of Afghanistan. Because at the end of the day, if we think about what is solution for Afghanistan, war is not the solution, diplomacy is, but they have to have a good strategy. And that strategy requires time and the Afghan leaders, because otherwise this cycle is going over and over, and you should not let the Taliban to play with the world.
Ahmad Shah Mohibi, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Good to have you.
Thank you.